Identify target. Hostile tank. No effect. Up. No effect.
Hello there everyone, it's been a while, hasn't it? What I have for you today is a small bit of Terminator gameplay. I've been playing these vehicles a lot lately because, you know, they are amazingly good right now. All the Terminators benefited quite a bit from all the changes they made in the patch, and now using this tier 6 one as an example, you can drop about 4300 damage in 12 seconds without ever stopping, which at a tier where most things aren't resistant to your missiles or autocannon is extremely deadly. You still die pretty fast because you have low hit points, and if people know where to shoot you run out really fast. And the missiles are kind of bad up close and at long range. In this game I'm on the look for some revenge. The Dose platoon opposing me shot me down in the earlier game pretty hard and went on to win the round pretty impressively. I start by driving down the middle, looking for some side shots on MBTs as they cross the road. It's not entirely risk-free because I'm quite exposed here, but I have 15 smokes now, so I believe I can make an escape if I get spotted. I get a late spot on the Leo, but luckily he decided to stay on the middle road, so there's not much of an escape for him. The 4-second delay between the missiles isn't really a thing. Because of the damage buff the missiles received, it doesn't really matter that I cannot damage him with my autocannon from here. Designated missiles especially are plenty enough to wipe him with one reload. Taking a hit here is just me being lazy. I should have and could have avoided it quite easily. But still, taking one shot for a tier 6 MBT kill is okay at this point. I pull back a little bit and see if I can put some fire on the people pushing the river.
No panic.
The slopes offer pretty good cover, but I get some damage down regardless. This location is pretty safe, as long as no one is pushing the 4 line on their side, so I can stay a while. Before this last batch, a VFM would have been a pretty scary opponent for Terminator, but right now it is only really a problem if it catches you up really close while you're reloading your autocannon, and even then you probably out DPM it. Still getting to do some early damage on one of their better players is a good thing. I'm more worried about the Terminator though, as Terminator versus Terminator fights are more of a car crash than a fight, and it's sometimes hard to tell who comes out at top. Oh, and I've been seeing a lot of missile VBLs after the patch, and I still think they're bad. I'm quite happy to see their Terminator at this low health. It severely restricts what he can do. If he was at, let's say, full health, I would have to probably stay here to protect my friendlies against him, because he could just downright murder many of them. Now I feel that I'm more free to do whatever I want. Since majority of their forces seem to be on this side, I decided to avoid risking more hit points and go help clean up the town so we can focus on these guys from multiple angles. Not much point beating your head against the wall when you can go and get the snowball rolling on the other flank instead. The first challenger in the middle successfully outplayed himself and got isolated and killed pretty fast, and these two remaining MBTs on the 9 line have overextended as well. They don't have much cover and support from their team, so we can swarm them pretty easily. In a 1v1, the challenger can still be a pretty mean opponent for a Terminator, even if you catch him from behind. He turns usually fast enough and has hit points to eat some of your missiles, and frontally it's a tough nut to crack, but with this amount of support I'm not really worried. Just go in and farm as much damage as I can. Now that the red team lost the flank, it's important again to capitalize on the advantage before they adjust and realize what's going on, so I'm moving up fast with my friendlies, hoping to maybe catch the T-80 off guard. I move up aggressively to support the Love 600, since he would probably lose the frontal 1v1. My main purpose is not to necessarily do the damage, but to turn him, maybe soak a shot or two, hopefully without taking actual damage, or at least much of actual damage, so that the Love can apply DPS without getting wrecked. This T-80 makes a pretty basic mistake and moves forward, whereas if he had actually properly applied the S key, he would have probably at least done way more damage. His first priority should have been to keep us on the same side and maybe even use me as a cover. this was a fight he definitely could have won. So from my point of view it was clearly a risk, but it turned out pretty well. Now this is a crucial moment in the battle again. I could go for decaps, I could go for their cap, or I could go middle hunting BMPs and the weasels. They're all valid options. And some of them would win the game, some of them could lose the game. Going for their cap would rely on my team members to get the resets, and going for the kills would have the risk of me dying while the enemy caps, so I choose to go back to defend. Looking at the minimap right now makes me second guess myself. The challenger probably could use my help, and I really want to go kill the low hit point Terminator, but I don't want to risk taking shots from the T-72A, as it is one of the meaner tanks to fight against in a Terminator. I think it's one of the, if not the only, tier 6 tank that can actually bully a Terminator pretty effectively. But as you can see, I decided to stick with my original plan here, with the benefit of me ending up behind them eventually, and having one flank most likely clear of enemies. Having a stray weasel or VBL behind us could really cause some issues. The numbers look pretty grim for us again, but most of the targets are pretty easy for me, as long as I don't try to fight all of them at once. I dispose of the Terminator, and to be honest there wasn't much he could do, even if he had seen me coming with those hit points. Now I just want to stick close to my teammates, support them, and look for opportunities to apply DPS. The missile VBL in a city fight is pretty much a non-factor, but the assaulter really catches me by surprise. This is pretty much the worst thing he could have done. I mean, sure, if he had remained calm and aimed, he would have killed me with 2 shots, but instead he becomes a victim. And this is even me saving my missiles for later use. Or trying at least. I feel some of the autocannon rounds disappeared, but it might just be the sound bug. Or maybe it's because I forgot to reload my autocannon again. But happily I remembered to reload my missiles, which aren't quite ready yet, so hooray. Since he is pretty much the only target that I would rather have my T-80s destroy, I choose to go after the weasel instead. I try to encourage my T-80s to press W a little bit so that the T-72 doesn't appear after me. But just as I smoke, the other weasel appears and decides to start trading his shots, which, is not a very good idea. If only he was at least hull down. Since the T-80s have finally engaged the T-72, I go after the weasel. And again, if he had to just stayed his ground behind that little hill in a good hull down position, he probably could have just killed me before I get too close. With a hit point advantage like that, he probably could have just killed me, even on the open ground, if he had to just remained calm and decided to fight. But instead he panics because a scary Terminator is coming for him and doesn't end well for him. So now it's only a matter of cleaning up and making sure he doesn't get to run circles around the map for the rest of the time. And this was a pretty close game, and the weasel alone could have won this if he had used his hit points a little different. Wouldn't have been an easy game for him to salvage, but not impossible. All these recent buffs gave a Terminator a really massive flexibility boost, making it very capable of dealing with almost any kind of situation. Only a very few tanks can stand up to it in a fair fight, and in many situations a single Terminator can wipe the floor with 2 or 3 weaker, softer tanks, especially if the players panic, which is quite common. I feel the best way to counter a Terminator is to put damage on the turret every chance you get, and don't let yourself be caught in a DPM trading scenario at medium range. All the main battle tanks still kill the Terminator if you just get close enough, since the missiles don't work very well up close. But light tanks and tank destroyers and other AFVs really need to be careful. I'll save you from rest of the artillery retrieval. He doesn't really put up a fight, so nothing there to see. And even this clown in the chat gives up eventually. Nice damage and nice kills, even though it could have been 2 kills more with a little bit more luck. And at least for once it wasn't stomping tier 5s all day long. I'll try to post the next video a little bit sooner. And thanks for watching.